Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. Another paid request, this time from Mr. Leeman. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be review, commentary, reaction, re-review, what have you. Whatever the case may be, tier list, what have you. So this is for the 1955 film Davy Crockett. Now, Davy Crockett, that's a film that I think I did see when I was a kid. And I remember bits and pieces. I remember the last bit of the movie. And the ballad, of course, of Davy Crockett. People today may not realize that back then, Davy Crockett was like a fad. It was a little phenomenon that kids at that age and time got into, where they got the raccoon or such hats, and we're gonna fight this, and we're gonna shoot this, and we're gonna, like, they really wanted to be Davy Crockett and the wild frontier man, and yeah, it's a man's man and all that stuff. Nowadays, not so much. I could bet a lot of fucking kids nowadays don't know what the fuck a Davy Crockett is, let alone that it was a who, let alone it was a person, let alone it was a real person. Of course, this is a Disney film, so some things are changed, but when you watch it, yeah, it's actually a rather violent movie. A lot of people die in this movie. I mean, yeah, there are characters that die in Disney films. Look at The Lion King and Simba's father, and then Star, and other movies as well. But there's a lot of people that fucking die in this movie, especially when the ending involves the Alamo, and like, this is a Disney massacre. It's a bit shocking when you look. I mean, it's not like blood and guts, but just when you think of Disney, especially today, it is a bit shocking. Now, from what I understand, this was 3 episodes of a show, and some would say it's kind of one of the first, technically, miniseries, in a way. Although it wasn't called that back then. But it was 3 episodes, and they took the 3 episodes, and they edited together into this movie, Davy Crockett. It stars Fess Parker, who was in a 1950s film called Them, which I really enjoy. I don't know if that one's on Blu-ray. If so, I need to pick it up someday, because I do remember quite liking that movie, Them. And he had a bit... I guess they were looking for James Arness to maybe play Davy Crockett, and I think he's in that in a bigger role. But I guess they looked past and they saw Fess Parker, and they were really impressed by his acting, so they had him come in, and he got the part. So he did the 3 episodes, which then became edited into this movie as well. And then also he went on to play Daniel Boone for quite a few years. And he was kind of in the Disney field. He kind of got stuck in there. From what I understand, at one point there was a chance for him to work with John Wayne and the Searchers or something like that, and they wouldn't let him. He was a bit pissed about that, which I don't blame him. But he was kind of stuck under the Disney thumb. Even back then, Disney were dicks. So he kind of had to push himself out, and they were trying to blackball him because he wanted out. Just like, you just give me the same type of roles, man. I want to do something more. Fess Parker, I thought, he was fun to watch as Davy Crockett. Very much of the... Maybe some people would think he's a bit over the top, but he was a bit charming with his accent and the way he talked, and kind of his mountain man sentimentality, and the way he expressed the words, and I'm just a simple folk, and dadgummit. Some may say it's laid it on thick, but I thought he did a charming enough job that I liked him as the guy. And his buddy is Buddy Epson. Funny enough, didn't mean to do that, but and apparently he was in talks to be the lead, but then they went with Fess Parker. Buddy Epson, you definitely recognize him. He was Jed Clampett, the lead in the TV show The Beverly Hillbillies. Now, Buddy Epson, from what I understand, he was actually going to be the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. But they put this shit on him that made him absolutely sick and ill. So he couldn't fucking do the movie. So they got a different guy in there. Although, if I understand The Wizard of Oz, they used some shit on that movie that a lot of people died very early in their lives. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. But, oh shit. It's like, damn, was that like the Dangerous Tom movie John Wayne did? Where didn't they shoot like on a place where they found out there's a lot of uranium or radiation or something, so then later on a lot of people got sick and died of cancer, including John Wayne. So, yes. Can you imagine something like that happen today? But Buddy Epson was Jed Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies, and he got the job here as Davy Crockett's buddy. Now, because it's 3 episodes put together, it doesn't have the best flow to it. Sometimes it just stops, and now we're in another chapter, and then just stops, and then we go on. So, like, as a story of Davy Crockett, it doesn't go into when he was a kid or when he was a teenager. And it's a Disney movie. I mean, there's not a whole lot of, like, deep emotional character work of any sort. The ballad of Davy Crockett is very familiar, very famous. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier, killed in a bar when he was only 3. And a lot of times the movie will stop so we can hear more of this ballad, more lyrics or more verbiage of this ballad, of this song. Which sometimes affects the tone a little bit, because there'll be some violent shit, or at least for a 50s Disney movie, like the Alamo. And then, Davy Crockett, you know, it's like, oh shit, people are dying. Davy Crockett. Okay. Shit. Not really the most consistent tone, but... So, like, the first part... It's like 3 movies. The first episode, you might as well call it, the first section, is during the Creek Wars, where he's helping Andrew Jackson deal with Native Americans. And I'm sure a lot of people watch this film and get teed off on the portrayal of Native Americans and who's cast and all this stuff. Whatever. I'm not Native American, and whatever. I just, to be honest, I don't fucking care. Because it ain't my job to care about that. I'm not some fucking kid that got out. If you're a Native American, you're offended by this, hey, I'm sorry that happened. But I'm also not going to go on a pedestal. I'm going to speak for someone else who they can speak for themselves. It ain't my fucking job to speak for someone else. Best way to put it. So they find Native Americans, and people are dying on either side, and at one point, Davy Crockett's fighting one of them, and he gets hit in the head by a piece of a tomahawk, like a stone piece, but his buddy saves him, and Davy Crockett's wife gives the buddy a long kiss. Like, is it going to be a threesome? At the front door. Davy Crockett. A threesome for all to hear. He's been fucked in the ass since he was only 5. His buddy saying, I ain't into that jive. You take the ass and I take the mouth. If you need to leave, you can only cough. Davy Crockett, teen of the Bucati. That'd be, the Triple X version. If this movie was made today, there probably would be a Triple X version. But, like I said, a lot of folks die in this movie for a fucking Disney movie. And a lot of times you'll see, like, they'll look at something and you see an animal and it's stock footage. So Davy Crockett and his buddy look over and then stock footage of a bear, then it cuts to them. Or there's a part where Davy's crossing the water and there's stock footage of a gator, and then here's a toy that Davy hits and they move on. But I mean, I can see why kids would have gotten into this. That adventure aspect. I mean, the first time we see Davy Crockett, he's in the bushes. Like, what is he, shitting in the bushes or taking a whiz in the bushes, making it in the bushes? No, he's fighting a bear in the bushes. And he gets thrown out. It's like, I have to do this the old-fashioned way. Gets a knife, goes in there. And, he has a sense of humor to himself. Like the military guys, what were you doing? Trying to do a new technique, grin him. One time I dared to a little squirrel and he jumped right in my bag. So I figured I'd try with a bear and, I was trying to make it work, but your buddy there didn't let me concentrate much. As silly as I said, I thought Fess Parker, he kind of knew I think he kind of knew what movie he was doing, so he kind of went with it. I would say of the three sections, I would say this is the most exciting section. Most would say the Alamo was the best section, but this is the most exciting. I kind of wish the whole movie was this. Just Davy Crockett and his buddy with the Native American, bit of a build-up, up and down, fun or entertaining or sometimes dangerous, violent struggles. And at the end, he shakes the guy's hand and the movie ends. Just gets a tomahawk fight with a red stick. That's his name, Red Stick. I'm like, well, I shouldn't say it, but I will say it. When you say red stick, I mean, people say red lipstick and then go, a dog's dick? So I'm like, he's named after a dog dick? Red stick? But no. And again, a tomahawk fight. Now, and it's 1955, so the action and fight scenes are not going to be of today. I do like there's a tomahawk and then this metal thing. I forget what that's called, and they're going back and forth. And the struggling. Again, for 1955 standards, it wasn't too shabby. David Crockett wins. Why don't you kill me? Because a law that we need to uphold more. Thou shalt not kill. And they shake hands. Then we go in the second section, which is more of David Crockett getting a bit more into politics. Andrew Jackson's going to be the president, and we want you to run for office. Before that, there's this shooting match he has with this guy, Bigfoot Mason, and he's so good he hits the right spot twice, the same spot twice. The guy's fucking over some Native Americans stealing their land, so he gets in a fist fight with the guy. Now, I mean, fist fights, if you compare it to today, maybe look hilarious because they're kind of like this with the fists. Kind of like this with the thumbs here, which you don't want to do because you break your thumb. But back in the day, they thought this is how you should do fist fights. Not like but like so I mean, if you look at it that way, it could be a bit hilarious. But I mean, it's it's of the time. And then, spoiler alert, we find out that his wife died from a letter written to him, and so his wife dies off screen. And we've only seen her about maybe 2 times in the film. So I guess it didn't have as much effect as it could have. So he doesn't really know what to do now. I don't think you ever see him with his kids at the end, which I thought was weird. Like, I don't remember if we... No, we never see Davy Crockett with his kids at the end, which I thought was a bit strange. But then, because he was successful in taking care of Bigfoot Basin, the people want him to go for Congress and legislature for Nashville, for Tennessee. I thought it was funny that he mentions, this is the dialogue, let's wet our whistles with a little bit of Mountain Dew. I'm like, Mountain Dew? I'm like, oh, is it... But that was a different Mountain Dew. It's not the... If I say Mountain Dew, you think of a different thing than they did back in the day. I mean, that'd be fine if they went in, it just happens... You say that line, and you go in, just happens to be a whole lot of Code Red Mountain Dew, just fucking... But pretty much, Davy's trying to end the... Davy Crockett Goes to Washington. It kind of plays off like that. Does a few speeches. This guy gets him on a speaking tour, but it's a ruse because they don't do this treaty bill to fuck over the Native Americans. Davy kind of finds out the last minute, gives a speech. I don't think he really does anything, but that's why he gets out of politics. And then boom, we jump to... They're going to the Alamo, him and his buddy. And I remember reading up somewhere that... Was it the maker... I don't know, was it the director or the writer? Someone said, if I knew it would be so popular, I would not have killed him in the third episode. Just the thing is that, yeah, if you know the Alamo, you know how it's going to end. Unless they did some really weird, like, Quentin Tarantino and Inglourious Basterds, like, changing of history thing. Why not even that? Because, I mean, well, actually, a little bit, because they shoot the shit out of Hitler in that one scene. But more so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is what I was thinking of. Which, that was ballsy and that was interesting. Like, that was one of the most interesting parts, is him literally changing history. So, I mean, unless you're going to do some different way of the Alamo, we know how it's going to end. You know how it's going to end. You know they ain't going to make it. And then throughout, like, they start to realize they're not going to make it. So it becomes kind of this sad, glum feeling for this Disney movie where, you know, they realize they're not going to get help. David Crockett's buddy tries to go for help, can't find any. Supplies are dwindling. Davy Crockett sings a song for the guys. And it becomes a Disney massacre. Just a fucking everybody dies. People getting shot. People getting stabbed. The hurt captain or colonel, whatever. He's trying to stab people. He gets stabbed to shit. And Davy Crockett's out there swinging. Last man standing. They don't show his death. That's what I mean. He's swinging, and it cuts to this high voice, Davy Crockett, fighting for liberty. It's like, dude, this is a pretty depressing ending to then go to this very uplifting, cheery song. It does give a bit of a weird vibe nowadays, but if you're into older Disney films, your production value, I mean, it was decent enough for TV work. But it's not nothing to be grandiose, epic in scale. Fess Parker and Buddy Ebsen, I liked them enough. They were likable. They really did seem like friends with each other. I think the two worked well together. Despite what I was saying about the Ballad of Davy Crockett, it is a catchy song. There's a lot of people and kids that would get a kick out of it. Like I said, in retrospect, I kind of wish they didn't put the Alamo bit in there. Because it just seems like, okay, it's fun bits with him, The first bit again is this very silly, goofy scene of him struggling with a bear in the bushes. And again, stuff like him. Imagine Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, right, with Kevin Costner, but then it ended with what was it, the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. Maybe not that drastic, but yeah, this was just okay. Maybe not that drastic, but I think because I was liking Fess Parker's performance, and as the whoever the guy said, if he knew it'd be more popular, he wouldn't have killed him in the third episode. But I mean, I guess it does stick to history enough where David Crockett did die at the Alamo, and that did happen. Obviously, not in the way with him last man standing swinging, but that's more the heroic Disney way. If you don't go out that way. I think when I first saw this, when I very first saw this film when I was a kid, I didn't know about the Alamo. So when I saw the ending, I was confused, going, "Did he make it? Is he alive?" No. But I think that was when I was like a little kid and did not know about the Alamo at that point. I wonder how many little kids felt that way, where if they didn't know the Alamo, they're watching, "Did he die?" Or what the parents like, "Shit, yeah, he did." Or he Lone Ranger came in and saved him. But Davy Crockett, it was fun to see this again after not seeing it for so long. It's definitely a novelty of its time. Maybe some people feel it's a bit corny, or maybe a bit. It does have an inconsistent flow because, again, there's 3 episodes pushed together. And like I said, it's like, okay, his wife died, and we never see him go back to his kids and talk with his kids and all this other stuff. Maybe this is stuff that was part of the full episodes. So if this is stuff they show, it makes you wonder what stuff was cut out in order to make it into a full movie. Actually, I'm trying to wonder. Like, I wonder how long these episodes were for each of these. Dude, I didn't look that up. But it was an interesting novelty to go back and watch. And I think for a lot of people, they could have maybe a certain sense of nostalgia for it. So, and if you want to see more Fess Parker, you look up the TV show Daniel Boone. Playing a similar character to Davy Crockett, only without the Alamo. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.